Hi Scorpios, and welcome to your March 2021 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky here to talk to you about the energies coming in for your month in March. I've been meditating on your energy for a while, Scorpios, and I think that this month is very meaningful to you. It's a very meaningful month where you will rediscover certain layers of your life meaning, and also where you will kind of comprehend things that have been hard to do so with, or things that have been hard to piece together. Things that have struggled to click should start to come into place this month. Basically, things are really coming into place. Things are really lining up. Things are really maybe getting a little bit of pressure, okay? And pressure to shift, pressure to line up, pressure to make progress, pressure to shift and change, and to experience a very different walk of life or a very different surrounding environment. I sense that many of you are in new terrains or dreaming of new terrains, having new landscape in your life to some degree, understanding that you have to be elsewhere, understanding that you have to live in a different way, or that you have to find value or meaning in a slightly different way. Appearance changes. There's a lot coming up for you. And you guys have the Tower, Ten of Swords, the Fool, the Hierophant, and the World as major arcana, and the Emperor reverse. Oh my god, Scorpios, you have 2, 4, 6 major arcana cards in your reading. And I always say if there are 3 or more, it's memorable. So this is probably a life-changing month for you. And I don't think it has to be hard. In fact, I think that it's a beautiful awakening that you're having. And I think that some of these things that you're going through that you might even be convincing yourself are hard to navigate are actually what you've been dreaming of for a long time. And the first thing that I'm drawn to say for you is that a lot of this is actually a dream come true. A lot of this, even though it's a hassle, even though it's hard or a bit pressurized, to some degree is something you've needed or really wanted for a long time. And then I kind of am wondering, do you enjoy the process of getting what you wish for? Do you enjoy the process of being such a potent manifester? Do you enjoy the process of getting a big return on investment? Because it's easy sometimes for us to get an impulse, or it's easy for us to know what we want. And then once we get it, there can be a whole subset of things we have to navigate that we never considered. So that's a lot of this month's energy as well. Some of you've got a little bit too much on your plate, I'll be honest. Some of you maybe are not reaping the benefit of excess time as much as you used to, but that's okay. Life goes through phases where we have more and less free time. Don't be afraid to experience that new environment, to plan that vacation. Try to plan for calmer waters in the future if you are really stressed out. I mean, the Tower and Ten of Swords together is one of the most stress-evoking combinations, so I'm not really sure why that's happening for you. I would say it's mostly for early degree Scorpios where you're already having a square from Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius. That would most likely be that. So for later degree Scorpios, it does not feel so stressful to me or so pressurized. But what I will say is you've got to allow movement. You've got to allow release. You've got to allow flexibility and disconnect as much from rigidity, evocative of the previous year of 2020, okay? You are called also to make new connections with people. You've got Two of Cups coming up, where I think that many of you need to pursue new relationships or new friendships, or even give that apology or accept that apology. Okay, that could be possible in order to clear. It's you need just a little bit more energetic space, and any type of, past, sentimental, nostalgic, traumatic, whatever bond might be just taking up the amount of room that is needed to just push you through and just get you the results that you're wanting right now. But instead there's still a little bit of focus on something that was hard from the past, and it's not relevant anymore. It's just not relevant anymore, Scorpio. There's a lot of things that just are not relevant anymore, and you've got to really get into that Fool energy and start to find a new existence for yourself. This is a time for Scorpio to get a little bit uncontextual with things. I'm sure that a lot of you already know exactly what I'm talking about, but you are very encouraged to get out of your comfort zone a little bit and to I want to say not force things to be like official or activated right now, but to pursue them. You've got the reversal of the Emperor coming up, which I'll talk a little bit about, which usually means that you feel like you're not being as effective as you like. You feel like you're not quite getting the result you want. Like you might be having a fear of authority or fear of control being lacking for you. And with these surrounding cards, I feel like a lot of you have to let go and let God, essentially. Like there's a need to release. We're in Pisces season on the left side, first 2 weeks of March. And then in the right side, we're in Aries season in the astrological new year. So what I would recommend for the Pisces side up until March 20th is more of a focus on spiritual connection and new beginnings than results, okay? It's really important for you to, and many of you seem to already be totally, submerged in this beautiful, deep, artistic, and good feeling Pisces energy that is there for you. And what happens when you get to that point can sometimes be like a huge overarching change with like the Tower coming up in the Hierophant. Sometimes things just have to go through a phase of destruction or fallout, like emotionally, to shift or change. And that's how it always is with Scorpios, like they are always challenged when it comes to like, will they themselves let go or will it get like taken? It's kind of like Cancers deal with this too, with like, the crabs, they'll like get their claws, hooked into something and they won't let go. But it's very easy for them to be pulled off and for the claw to be like, disconnected from the crab. But it's still like clinging on. That is kind of what I'm feeling for the first 2 weeks for you in March. But it feels like you easily level up. You have the World coming up. There's a lot of fine acceptance of this phase that you're in. Like you're overseeing it. It's almost like some of you are even going out of body a little bit here and understanding that you're kind of out of your depth in something as well. Okay, this is harsh. This is a hard thing for Scorpios, I think, right now. How can I explain this? Okay, Scorpios, I got to get really real with you. There's some kind of major coping mechanism going on with expansion in your life and making up for lost time. Some of you, okay, so this is very deep and this is a great psychic download that's coming through. What I'm feeling, and this is really beautiful, is that you suddenly realize the value of your time, essence, and life force. And simultaneously, you realize how much time has passed in refusing to acknowledge that value. How much time might have been lost in that relationship in the past, how much time might have been lost mourning, how much time might have been lost talking to somebody on the phone for months and months and months, and then, being abandoned by them or something. Like there's like, you see what I'm getting into? I'm getting into like this very like Neptunian rage point that I feel is starting to channel through Scorpios. And what's happening there is that all of a sudden you wake up, and this might have even happened in February, like around the Grand Aquarius stellium for you. You wake up and now there's a need to like make up for lost time, or there's a need to compensate, or there's a need to be like, oh my God, I've got to, do 4 years worth of, compensation in 1 year of 2021 to get back on my level of momentum. Be careful with this, Scorpios. You need to fine tune your approach, and you need to also be unafraid in removing certain unnecessary outputs of energy. You distanced yourself from certain outputs that you're now in again before for a reason. And now you have a broader perspective and your horizon has expanded. And now you see maybe the value of some of the things that you distanced yourself from before and are moving back into alignment with them. But you've got to do so with a continued understanding of what pulled you out of that before. And most likely it has something to do with a trauma or something to do with the loss of like love in your life. And now happiness has to exist instead of like this crucial ambition feeling. Okay, it has to be out of happiness that you're doing these things, it can't be out of pressurized, crucial ambition. That's what I'm feeling with Ten of Swords, the Tower, the Emperor reversed, and the World is, we're kind of getting into the line Scorpion, and with a grain of salt here, this is not all Scorpios, but you could be in soul selling territory with the level of like extreme emotionally pressurized revelation that I'm feeling for you in combination with forward momentum and progress that you're having. And yeah, you could get to crazy major heights. You could get like, I don't know, like political relevance or what do I want to say? Like incredible wealth or something. There's something opening right up for Scorpios that's like very worldly and very, things you won't have to worry about, certain things anymore, like after some of the events of this month. And some of you might already even be there. And beware of revenge cycles. Beware of psychically attacking other people in your life without realizing it too. I'm worried about that for you guys. I'm worried that some of you have lost control of your psychic energy to a degree. And beware of visualizations. Okay, so like even like intrusive thoughts are possible. And this is the deepest point. Okay, so it's Pisces season shows the deepest point of Scorpio energy as well. All the water signs can see the most deep part of themselves, the most deep part of their nature. And for you, it's really coming up this year, okay? Because you had a shift in who you are in February. And now with that shift comes a new vision of the deepest part of what that is. So this is really cool stuff coming in here. But how can I explain this? I want my Scorpio people, us who are here, really working hard, spiritual warriors trying to raise above certain, earthly crises. I want you to move into more of a mindset of cultivation rather than crucial pursuit. Cultivation versus crucial pursuit. If you can imagine yourself gardening, look at the Seven of Pentacles card. Does he have a feeling of crucial about him, or does he have a feeling of cultivation about him? This subtle difference in how you're going about forward progress in your life is important. Understanding that it takes time. Watch out for feeling like you got to have everything done yesterday. You guys could trip up a little bit, okay? And get stuck in minutia, or get stuck in like debt, or get stuck in some type of cycle if there's too crucial of a feeling. Crucial was for the last few years. That was okay, but a lot of you didn't quite have the health to be crucial. Now you have the health to be crucial, and it's time for cultivation, not for crucial. So always being out of the needed or relevant energy is a part of the Scorpio experience, being a bit of an outlier, being a bit of an outcast, stuff like that. But you're actually becoming, okay, especially if you're in the US, which is going through a Pluto return right now, you're actually becoming like front and center and in control and not the outlier, okay? You're becoming more status quo, okay? And I know it means different things to different people, but how I mean status quo in this sense is like Scorpio energy, if you notice, is very desirable, and everybody wants to kind of be scorpionic now. Everybody wants to be like powerful. Everybody wants to be like, sort of that tortured hero role. So why not just go into your nature now and cultivate? And that's kind of the more heavy potential. Let me talk about how this can be uplifting, okay? What you can have in the month of March, Scorpio, is the complete ending or even sacrifice of addictive, malaligned situations, unsureness, a feeling of being frazzled and unable to comprehend certain things, disease or health diminishment. These things can also be wiped off your slate, and your status can have a lot of free breathing room to cultivate new things. Again, this is the cultivation side. I just kind of talked around the crucial side when I was talking about, power games, control issues, moving too quick, and, tripping up a little bit. As we're cultivating in March, Scorpio, in a way, it's crucial to see a difference now or to see some degree of shift in the positive ways. Okay, I'm not just talking about, wow, I see that my life is different. I'm talking about seeing, like, whoa, I actually almost had like a complete rebirth in regards to how I see myself, or like no longer am I a codependent person, period, paragraph. No longer am I obsessed with the past or the future. Like I can actually understand the present now. Like huge major milestones can be reached for you in March. And with a milestone always comes a terrain that's no longer there. You know, you cross the finish line and you're not on that previous, race anymore. Like you're not, once you hit the finish line, you're not, dealing with the marathon, with the race anymore. So that's crucial for you to know and to signal to yourself, like, I guess metaphorically, I'm not in a feeling of competition with myself. Now I'm ready to grow. So growth is on its way. Growth is inevitable for you this year. Let's make that as painless as possible. And let's get into your week to week, Scorpio. I have talked for a long time about intuitive messages. Week number 1 of the month of March 2021, you've got the Fool rooted down by the Hierophant. So the first week of March is spiritual transformation, new beginning, waking up to what you can do, waking up to other means of value, waking up to new spiritual thoughts, new philosophical notions, and also having a bit of freedom in the first week of March is really important. So try to maybe slot some time for yourself to have that, and slot some time for like self-expression and self-love and self-reconciliation, I almost want to call it, because I feel that some of you are actually like with this new version of you, with this new birth of you, you maybe don't really know it that well, or you don't know who you are as much as you used to, and you might still be using that past, association of you with you now, and it's like you got to get to know yourself almost, or you got to get to understand the spiritual relevance of what you're embarking on now. Second week, you've got 2 of Cups rooted down by the Tower. Okay, so try to not rely too much on other people, or focus maybe even a little bit less on relationships with others, or dating, or any type of romance feels to be a bit of a red flag territory right now. And that's because this Pisces season is really meant to teach you about your essence again, not so much about the essence of another person. So if you're focusing too much on another person, there could be a dissolving of a relationship, or a just a clearing. You're clearing up your connecting points in the second week. They're being purified, they're being cleansed. I'm feeling that you might even be on some type of health cleanse. It's very supported in the second week of March, in a safe way. Some of you could like overdo that too, be careful, but any type of like safe, cleansing of the body, of the digestive system, of anything like that could be good, done well and done responsibly. But one way or another, you're going to have sort of a big shift in how you connect with other people. So, and you might have already identified this, you might have identified that the way that you're coming off is not really in alignment with what you think. And now you might be making fine-tuned tweaks to the way that you come off as a person. I'm feeling something along those lines coming up. And Scorpio, basically, before we move on to the third week, I'm just saying that like the energy here is kind of all over the place and scattered. It's like you have so many desires, so many things all over the place, and it's all really good. It's all really positive. But can you maybe, I don't want to say organize or arrange, but there's something that needs more incrementalism, or more like a moderation perhaps as well. So just keep it in mind. Like you might not want to put so much pressure on your current progress too. But third week, you've got the Emperor reversed, rooted down by the World. This is the astrological new year. This is March 20th. This is Aries season. It's important for you to not think so much about your authority or your control over things as it is to acknowledge the ending phase. That's what's important for you, to acknowledge that the world is beneath you, to acknowledge that to some degree you have like an incredible amount of autonomy that many other signs don't have, Like, regardless of where you're at right now as a Scorpio, I feel that there's some degree of control that you've wanted for a long time that you have now. And I don't think that you need to get so confused about it. I don't think that you need to think in the tone of so many worst case scenarios. You're like, okay, I have all this now, or I have all of this prosperity here, but what if this happens? Try to not get so much layers in your thinking and just like just exist, just allow this worldly moment to happen. Week number 4, you've got 7 of Pentacles rooted down by 10 of Swords. The harvest, the cultivation becomes something that results in a rebirth or some type of ending. So you're harvesting, you're seeing what has been produced, and I'm also feeling that it's like you can never really get back to a certain point, or you can, bear with me here, you can never really get back to a certain point of thriving, or it's like you're not allowing yourself, despite so much prosperity, despite so much incredible new opportunities blooming in your life. It's like, this is not what I thought it would be. I don't feel that I'm thriving in the way that I was like back in 2015, even though that person was barely holding on for dear life, and now the person you are is like a level of strength that is like not comprehensible to that person. Okay, so keep bearing with me here, Scorpio. I'm just trying to channel it in, because the energy for Scorpio is, the stream of consciousness is a challenge to articulate. Like, it's so wild, the energy. It's almost like you have to get into like a new methodology of understanding your life now. Like, I'm happy that that person betrayed me. I'm happy that that person abandoned me. I'm happy that I had no one but myself to rely on, and that I had to build something from the ground up without assistance, because what I have now is so much more than the reliance that I was fostering all those years ago, if that had worked out well. You feel me, Scorpio? There's got to be like a motivational component to forge all of this together into one like unit of self-awareness in your life. That's as best as I can explain it. There's got to be like a new motto, instead of being like, well, gosh, yeah, I was totally betrayed. Gosh, I lost a lot of years in coping. Gosh, I lost a lot of like progress in dealing with really unreasonable, unreliable, and childish people and foolish people. And I can either get like really upset at myself about this now and take a lot of time unraveling that spiritually, or I can just rise above that and admit that I'm happy that it happened, because everything comes back to center, and karma exists, and the universe works in tandem with the choices that we make. And I know that I've made choices from a point of integrity. Hopefully, it's different people might be watching this video, but like, and knowing that that integrity has been the base, and despite not being a perfect person, and despite, not having done things right in every single situation, I know where my effort was coming from, and I know that that was a good place. And because of that, look at the rise that I'm having now. There's a lot of like stuff like that comes up here for you that can be so motivating, but it has to be congealed, I want to say, into a direct line of energy, and not just, blurrily, like in a blurry way experienced. That's very jargony. It's very spiritually concise language, I know. But try to channel this into a very direct boat for yourself to sail through into a new vibration, and leave behind all aspects of previous connecting points, and maybe even make it energetically clear that previous people who caused betrayals or huge endings in your life or whatever, perhaps make it clear that those connecting points will never be connected through again. To yourself. And I'm not so much saying to other people that you could do that too, but you've changed, they've changed. You have a lot going for you now, it feels like, and no more room to deal with all of that foolishness now, okay? But anyway, Scorpios, it's just kind of like part of a day in the life of your experience. And it's not, I've got to make it clear to you. I'll wrap up on this point. The flowing nature of your energy is moving into a place where it requires a bit more predetermination and a bit more willingness to really maneuver in your life, as compared to the previous few years where you could kind of just exist and things just kind of congeal. That's still fine, but it's like if you really want that new dimension, it does feel like you have to maneuver a little bit. When I say maneuver, I mean like you got to actually conceptualize what you want, think about it, start to build up, as like almost like a Six of Swords experience, build up that boat and sail and paddle it, instead of just expecting for it to just come to you. I mean, I know with like law of attraction and everything, it's like very popular to think like, okay, it'll just, what I want is just going to come to me by me like, drawing unicorns on my wall or something like, but it's not that is sometimes the case. Not really feeling that for you right now though, because you've got a sort of incredible power right now where you can get what you want, but at the same time with that means that you've got to like try pretty hard and work pretty hard. Whereas sometimes when we have a bit less control, it's actually easier to get what we want. It's weird how this works. But sometimes when we have less control, we get what we want a lot easier because the universe kind of works in a different way. But when we have a lot of autonomy and control, we have to make those decisions ourselves and do all that work ourselves to some degree. It depends though. But anyway, Scorpios, I'm going to put together an extended reading for you. This has been kind of a like buzzy, like electric reading. The Aquarian energy for you is a big adjustment for you. And that's what this month is too. It's a bit of an adjustment. So just prepare for that. And ultimately what comes from this month is an incredible level of alignment and an incredible level of like attractiveness and capability and worldly like prestige to a degree is possible as well in the future as a result of what comes about this month. So it's not for nothing. All of this major energy, major arcana energy, it's not for nothing. It's not going to leave your life barren in any way, but it could feel a bit challenging. But who doesn't love a good challenge? It can be fun. It's kind of like when you start running and like, that's not fun at first. Like that's really hard. Like it's not a pleasant experience when you're a new runner. But once you start getting used to it, like that level of like, getting to that late part of the run, really exercising your endurance and conditioning becomes something enjoyable and even euphoric for some people. So that could be also how you're feeling with this. And there's actually a good group of Scorpios that are getting some degree of like euphoria from this like huge new story that's coming up. So enjoy that if you can. Try to get onto that side of it. Anyway, I'm going to put together an extended for you on Patreon. A late night extended. It's very late. It's hard to get so many readings out in a short month like February. But yes, if you wanted to check out the Patreon page, I so recommend it because we have such a great time over there. You can get all the readings early, ad-free, extended, and weekly tea chats over there. So I'll link that below and in the center of your screen. Now, Scorpios, what an awesome month for you. Enjoy it. I will talk to you soon. Let's do this extended. Much love. Bye.